Hey everybody, Adam from Atlas Gunworks, here to do a firing pin replacement test. So when do you change your firing pin? I would tell you as a rule that we just run them until there's a problem, but there is a test that I like to do when I'm cleaning or taking the gun apart. So the best way to do this is to pull the firing pin out and quickly just give us a swab so that we're getting a pretty clean Q-tip. I like to spin it on the bottom too. And so it's relatively clean. I know there's no debris in there. Remember that there's an explosion happening here and flowing stuff back through the firing pin. But here's my old one. I just shot this gun in a match this weekend and I had one or two light strikes, which is very uncommon, and it usually means the firing pin's broken or bent, and they usually, once they quit, they quit. But every now and then you get this scenario where you can do this test and uncover a potential problem. So firing pin goes in, and this is where it would sit normally in the gun. I've got a long punch here, so that this is, you want to start here, right? I'm just going to push it, and I feel just this little bit of scraping resistance. And sometimes it's hard to know. I mean, if it's really scraping badly, but there's enough resistance there, I question it, right? So now I pull my spring off, and I'm going to look at the tip here, and I've got some unusual wear marks. Try to hold this where we can see. That camera's not super focused on that spot, but so it's not showing this, but there's some weird scrape marks on a couple of spots, and I'm like, all right, well, my test now would be to take a brand new one, and you should always have one of these in your bag. The one thing you got to know, actually I'll do it with the new one, when the firing pin goes through the front of the breech face and wants to contact your case, if you're using dummy rounds, this is a bad example. This case has the flash hole for the firing for the primer dead center. They're almost always offset just a little bit one way or another, and the pin comes through, catches the offset hole, and it bends the tip. So if you're using reloaded ammo and by chance have a case with no primer in it, you often will bend the firing pin. So always have an extra one in here. Usually once they get bent by that flash hole, they're done. The tip's really broken. So that's usually how they break. But I was shooting a match this weekend with factory ammo, and I had a light strike, which is super uncommon in a hammer-fired gun, especially 2011s. So I'm here at that spot, and then you can see as that comes through, right, that if that catches that flash hole, we got a problem, and it probably flows through to about there. Well, it depends, right? Resistance-wise, probably hits here and comes back, and then it flows a little further if there's no resistance. These get hit pretty hard by those hammers. So anyway, I put this brand new one back in here, and I'm going to check the resistance between the new one and the old one. So we know the new one's straight. This is my 0 point, and when I push on that, I get less. Sometimes you get a little bit, you feel it touching the walls coming through the breech face there, right? And I feel it a lot less on this new one. So I think this one's got a slight potential bend to it on the tip, so I'm going to call this one no good. I'm going to put a new one in for 15 or 20 bucks. That's some good insurance, and then I'm going to test the new one and make sure I'm not getting the same thing. Ideally, I test it with the same ammo that I was running before to make sure that it's a fair test. And ultimately, it's nice too to have the rounds that failed and then run them again with this new firing pin and make sure it puts a much bigger pop or dent in there. So that's the firing pin test. Super easy to do. I would do this every time I clean the gun. Just make sure I got a nice smooth transition there from flowing through to the breech face and then right back. Hope to see you guys on the range soon.